Hi, this is Marla from Goodwerks shop at Etsy, and I'm going to show you how to assemble my printable mini cranky box. The first step is going to be, after you print it, you're going to score along the dotted lines. So line up your straight edge on the black dotted lines, and then use a blunt instrument. I like to use a small standard screwdriver, but it's like you're cutting it, but you don't cut all the way through. You're just going to crease. And so line up your ruler really well on those black dots, and you're going to do some on one side and then all the ones on the other side. And after you've done that, you're ready for the next step, which is get out your scissors and cut it out. Cut off the outer white area. Now that you've done your scoring, you don't need to keep your score lines anymore, so you can go ahead and just cut carefully. You want to get right along the edge. And there are some dashed lines where the flaps are. There are 3 white dashed lines, so you're going to snip those. And then you're going to need to use a craft knife to cut out the front window, which is going to be your viewing window, your little stage. And then there are some fold-out stage doors on the back. So cut those with your knife, and then I forgot to score the stage doors on the back. Now I can flip those open, and I can pop out my viewing window. Now I use a hole punch or a skewer to punch holes in the areas where it's indicated with a black circle. And I like to just use a pencil to make them a little bit wider so that my straws that I'm going to use as reels for my cranky can move more freely. So I checked that with my straw. Yep, it fit. And now I can do the fun part of assembling the box. So fold it back along all of the score lines. Once you have them all folded back, you'll see the white panel that says apply adhesive. I like those adhesive rollers because where I live, it's so dry that glue sticks kind of dry out. But glue stick would also work. So after you've got that glued, you can press it down, and then you can fold the flaps in. And those circles should line up. If they don't, you can stick a pencil in there and fix that. Now the bottom flap is going to fold back on itself. So tuck in the flap, and then you can reach down from the inside of the stage doors and pull it in. If it fits too snug, you can trim off a little bit of the edge to make it fit easier. But it should fit quite nicely and snugly. So you pull that in there, and then you're going to fold it down again along the score and tuck the other edge in, and you'll see that your holes are going to line up, and that's where your straw reels are going to go through. So I cut my straws at around 4 inches. You might want to make them a little bit longer than that, maybe 4.5 or 5 if you want a little extra space. You could also use pencils or dowels, or possibly even cocktail skewers. Is that what they're called? So I put them down through both holes. There is a guide for cutting your scroll that's going to go inside your little seam, and that's 1.75, 1 3/4 inches tall. That's a little bit bigger than the viewing window, which is 1.5 inches. I like to use pretty thin paper because it isn't quite as stiff. It will roll up more nicely, so I use newsprint, but you could also use tracing paper. So I have my guide that I cut off of the instructions. You also could have just measured off 1 3/4 inches, and that's the same size as that. Now I have my little newsprint piece, and I decided to draw in pencil first and then ink it. And after I inked, I colored in colored pencil. And there's my little scene, which is to the tune of the song Wildwood Flower. After I have my scroll, I'm going to put tape on the front side And then I can flip my little theater over and attach that to my reel. Just make sure you're putting it in right side up, and so your turners are going to be on top. So tape both ends in. You don't want your tape any taller than your paper, so it should be just the same height. If not, trim it off. And try to make it go toward the bottom of the theater as much as you can. Make your scroll line up along the bottom of the little stage. And it should be pretty easy to put in there. Now you can close up the doors and view your show. If you have trouble with your paper binding, you can take it out of the box and roll it around like a pencil or a thin paintbrush a few times to break down the fibers and make it a little bit floppier, easier to roll. And also just check your holes and make sure that they're big enough for the straws to move freely through. And if you really want to get fancy, you can make yourself some handles. A thing I sometimes use are mini clothespins. You can glue these on, or you can just pinch them on, and that can serve as a handle to make it a little bit easier to crank. So that's my printable cranky box. If you want to download it, visit etsy.com shop Goodwerks. And if you want to learn more, you can visit my blog at goodwerks.com.